Did you see that? The Void turning people into shadows in the Thunderbolts trailer. Man, the cinematography, the way darkness illustrates the Void, just insane. This means we're about to see Sentry, one of the most powerful beings in Marvel, making his big screen debut, and there's no turning back. The new Super Bowl trailer caught me completely off guard. It's becoming more and more obvious that this movie is going to be a game changer for the MCU. Dark Avengers coming together, Sentry's watchtower sitting on top of Avengers Tower, the reign has begun. I'll admit it, I had serious doubts about this movie, but with every new trailer, I'm getting more convinced that Thunderbolts could actually make sense. And more than that, be absolutely amazing. Marvel took the toughest, most ruthless characters in the universe, super soldiers, urban assassins, and threw them all onto the same team. Basically, Marvel's Expendables. And that's great because it means Marvel still wants to keep things brutal. I don't want to see the Winter Soldier all nerfed, patting terrorists on the head like in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. No, I want to see him pulling wheelies on a motorcycle, punching cars into the air, unloading bullets with zero hesitation. And if you pay attention, every trailer shows that this team is going to have absolute chaos as their dynamic, because every single one of them has a strong personality. As Valentina herself says in the trailer, "I can't imagine a worse group of people trying to work together. Most of them have always worked alone, and now they have to deal with this mess. And with all the multiversal craziness in the MCU, we've been missing a more grounded urban action film. Thunderbolts looks like it's delivering that perfectly. Hype is through the roof, and I need to know, will this movie shut the haters up or not?
We are the Thunderbolts!
Can't call ourselves that.
God, thank you.
The Void, Sentry's dark counterpart, has been confirmed as the big villain of Thunderbolts. And man, just look at how this story is shaping up, because Marvel might be about to drop one of the craziest, most unique films in the MCU. The opening? A massacre waiting to happen. The movie is set to kick off with each of the Thunderbolts: Taskmaster, Ghost, Black Widow, Winter Soldier, US Agent, and Red Guardian, being assembled for what seems like a suicide mission. It's going to have that conspiratorial feel with the government hunting them down, classic spy thriller style. And even at that point, the movie is already shaping up to be insane. But then comes the twist: Avengers Tower. The team finally reaches Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, who has now purchased Avengers Tower using government funding. But the real nightmare starts right there. Pay attention to this setup. Up until this point, Bob Reynolds, the Sentry, was just a nobody in the plot. But right there in Avengers Tower, he flips, transforming into the Void, an entity that embodies the ultimate villain archetype. If you break down the trailer's structure, it's all there. The Thunderbolts fighting among themselves at the start, then being sent on a mission and running from the government, meeting Valentina at Avengers Tower, and the insane battle against the Void in that very place. And when they finally hit the streets, total chaos. The Void is wrecking helicopters, leveling buildings, turning people into shadows. Terror has taken form. Notice how, in every scene of the trailer, the Void is never fully visible. He's always shrouded in darkness, almost like a living shadow. And that makes total sense, because that's how the Void manifests. Pure darkness, pure emptiness. And this is where the genius of Sentry comes in. His story and powers encapsulate all the classic archetypes of iconic heroes, even Superman. He is the living embodiment of the battle between hero and villain, light against darkness. Sentry is a million suns exploding at once. The Void is the abyss, the consuming darkness, and all of that exists inside the mind of an ordinary man. So, do you think Marvel finally nailed the tone with Thunderbolts? Will the Void be the most terrifying villain in the MCU so far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you really understand what it means for the Void to be in the MCU? We're talking about a character who represents the ultimate conflict between good and evil. He's not just a powerful villain, the Void is the end of everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. He doesn't just overpower heroes, he crushes gods like ants. Loki, as the Sorcerer Supreme, nearly pissed himself in fear. Doctor Strange, in his God of Magic form, was completely useless against him. Now, you might be thinking, but I've seen the Void lose before. Wrong. The Void doesn't lose because someone defeats him. He allows it to happen. Some days, he doesn't use his powers. Some days, he simply decides to stop. The Void doesn't fight. He decides what happens. Thunderbolts versus the Void. Do they even stand a chance? Listen, the trailer itself already confirmed. The Thunderbolts are getting absolutely destroyed by the Void. Sentry, fully consumed by the Void, has already taken down the entire team. He ripped off the Winter Soldier's arm. They have zero chance.
You thought you were gonna be some great saviors?
And that's the core of Sentry and the Void. The only one who can stop him is himself. Sentry's absolute power and the Void's relentless destruction are two opposing forces inside the same man, Bob Reynolds. Bob isn't just a guy with superpowers, he is a living battlefield, where the greatest force of good and the greatest force of evil are constantly fighting for control. Sentry is the only one who can defeat the Void. The Void is the only one who can defeat Sentry. Bob Reynolds is the only one who can keep them both in check. And this war, it's all happening inside his mind. Now, let's connect the dots. Valentina Allegra de Fontaine is clearly being set up as the Norman Osborn of this new phase of the MCU. In the trailer, there's a scene where she's at a government hearing saying the Avengers aren't coming, while the Void's shadows engulf the city. Manipulation? Obviously. Norman Osborn controlled heroes and villains during Dark Reign because he had Sentry on a leash. Now, who could fill that role? Yep, Valentina. She knows Bob isn't mentally stable, she knows he can be easily manipulated by someone with a firm grip. And who better than her, a master manipulator, to keep one of the most powerful beings in the universe under control? The Void takes over. The Thunderbolts get wrecked. Sentry tries to hold it back. But in the end, Valentina might just end up with the perfect guard dog by her side. And this could be the official beginning of the Dark Avengers in the MCU. If this theory holds up, we're about to witness one of the darkest and most intense phases of Marvel on the big screen. Now, pay close attention. What was just revealed in the Thunderbolts trailer could change everything in the MCU. And check out this theory. The survivors of this team might end up being recruited for the Dark Avengers. John Walker stepping up as the new Captain America, Yelena Belova cementing herself as the new Black Widow. This would be a perfect mirror of what happened in the comics, when Norman Osborn took over the Marvel Universe and created his own version of the Avengers, with villains wearing the suits of heroes. And guess what? Valentina Allegra de Fontaine might be following that exact same path. And here's a detail that might have gone unnoticed by many in the trailer. We finally saw Avengers Tower from the outside. Ever since it was sold, the mystery of who bought it has been hanging over the MCU. And now we have the answer. But that's not all. Avengers Tower has always been a symbol of heroism in the MCU. And now, it could become the monument to the rise of darkness. And who could be standing at the top of that tower? The Sentry, possessed by the Void. In the comics, when Sentry was part of the Avengers, he placed his watchtower on top of Avengers Tower. And that was eerie. Now picture this scene in the movie. A dark, ominous tower covered in sharp, jagged spires. A massive sphere of black energy crackling with lightning. And inside, the most dangerous being in the universe, ready to erase everything. If this happens, it'll be one of the most impactful moments in the MCU. A literal representation of how heroism has been corrupted. If you think Thunderbolts is just another Marvel action flick, think again. This could be the movie that opens the doors to the darkest phase of the MCU, setting the stage for the rise of the Dark Avengers and the Void's emergence as a threat like never before. Now, I want to hear from you. What did you think of the trailer? Are you hyped for this possible Dark Avengers setup? Drop your theories in the comments. And of course, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates.